Primetime newscast in the English language on Canal the International. I'm called Morinzi. We begin with our top stories. Church activities are resumed at the Presbyterian Church in Bali in Mezam Division, Northwest region of Cameroon. The relaunch of worship has taken place yesterday, Sunday, with a special cleansing worship service of the church building of PC Tamfuak by College of Pastors. And the annual meeting of Head of Court of Appeal and regional delegates for penitentiary administration opened in Yaoundé this Monday with a call for strict respect of hierarchy within the justice system in Cameroon. Good evening once more. Church activities have resumed at the Presbyterian Church in Bali, Mezam Division, Northwest region of Cameroon. The relaunch of worship has taken place yesterday, Sunday, with a special cleansing worship service of the church building of PC Tamfuak by College of Pastors. The high point was the reading of the message from the injured pastor about the bloody incident that led to one death. The details with Gladys Ambo Ziban.
And rededication service in the name of the Father, and of the Son, and of the Holy Spirit.
This is a cleansing ritual that marks the rededication and restart of worship in the Presbyterian Church building in Tamfuak in Bali after over 4 weeks of silence and inactivity. The act was performed on Sunday, October 17, by a College of Pastors present for the landmark blood-washing church service after the killing of a Christian and wounding of the parish pastor and others. Though absent and still receiving treatment, the mind-boggling and information-packed WhatsApp signed message of the injured Reverend Voma Simon Monto, who doubles as Presbytery Secretary, was presented in the church.
Though he was unable to be around, sent a message giving the narrative of actually what happened to him, how the bullet came from the grandstand where the military stood there and caught him, and also got Nagrace, of which he killed Nagrace.
The message on this day was to remind the Christian that God still loves us and that we should abandon all types of evil sacrifices and idol worship.
Some activities that culminated in this special worship service included retreats and intensive prayers for the hundreds of Christians to brave the prevailing climate of insecurity and get back to holy business.
I was afraid that the congregation would be empty, but at the end of it, I'm very happy.
The benches, tables and other church property, including the bullet-ridden walls, were cleansed and prayers said so that never again should such a bloody incident happen in God's house.
The annual meeting of heads of courts of appeal and penitentiary administration opens in Yaoundé this Monday with a call for strict respect of hierarchy within the judicial system. The Minister of Justice, Laurent Okold, was addressing heads of court and penitentiary administration as they seek solutions to numerous challenges within the sector. More with our insane or with our student journalist from Yaoundé.
According to the Cameroon Minister of Justice, Laurent Esso, the concept of freedom of speech has been wrongly interpreted by the public with the coming of the different social media platforms.
Leaking documents, all sorts of assertions and comments which are increasingly relayed by modern means of communication to the point of turning subjective information into truths that are very often far from the facts as found in a case filed in court.
Meeting in this annual Head of Court of Appeal session, which equally brought together the regional delegates of the penitentiary administration, the judiciary authorities capitalized on 4 key aspects: the independence of the judiciary, hierarchical subordination of legal officers, the principle of secrecy in the judiciary proceedings, which may even have a very negative impact on the career of all stakeholders in the judiciary and the penitentiary. The content which various court authorities say will go a long way to solve your daily challenges.
Solve the problems that we are having mostly in the field, the problems of various jurisdictions, and also the problems of our penitentiary administration.
One of the glaring challenges, absence or confusing link between subordination and authorities.
Let's take, for example, a situation where a regional delegate allows a chief of service and is working only with the chief of bureau. That is the type of problems we are trying to avoid during this meeting. Those are issues of parallel hierarchy, because when it is like that, there is total disrespect of hierarchy.
The judiciary, they reiterate, needs serenity to ensure that law is applied in accordance with the expectation of lawmakers, litigants, and the entire people of Cameroon. Today's annual meeting equally saw the handing of labor medals to some meritorious workers of the judicial sector.
And the Women International League for Peace and Justice has promised to provide legal assistance to persons afflicted by delayed justice in Cameroon. This is based on the fact that the road to fair justice to millions of Cameroonians' masses is narrow. Expose. This is a matter of money and justice. Aisancha completes that story.
Accessing fair justice still remains a great challenge for many Cameroonians, especially the vulnerable populations.
There are a lot of people out there whose rights have been trampled upon. They don't have the access to justice, maybe because of financial issues, maybe because of the ignorance of their rights that have even been tempered on.
The coming of the legal clinic of the Women's International League for Peace and Freedom is to rekindle hope in the needy persons.
This clinic is a clinic that is going a step further, taking a step further to make sure that the people whose rights have been trampled on or their rights have been violated, they have a cause to justice.
In a capacity building workshop this weekend in Yaoundé, the promoters of peace and justice were out to strengthen the teleoperators with measures of quick response to the violation of human rights.
The lawyers here in the clinic are going to give them the tools to be able to respond efficiently. What do I respond to somebody who's victim of domestic violence, for example? So because all the cases are not going to be reported to the lawyers, the teleoperator can give advice on some of these cases, but they need to have tools.
The International Women's League equally condemns in strongest terms the barbaric killings of the 6-year-old girl in Boya last October 14.
The fact that he was able to shoot this little girl, because the gendarmes, the police officers, the military, they are trained and they have the ethical codes. So there is no way in the world which they can just decide to kill a person, no matter what.
Denounce the mental and physical torture in English, French, Pidgin English or Fulfulde through the toll-free number 8243 for justice to take its course.
And in an effort to increase the number of skilled workers in Cameroon, the Ministry of Employment and Vocational Training, in partnership with the Cameroon's employer cartel, GICAM, have handed over and of course certificate to some trainees who have undergone training for a couple of days here in Cameroon. The initiative is aimed at increasing skilled workers in the country, as we hear the following story with Gladys Ambo Diba.
These 280 employees from 36 companies across the country have acquired new skills, which they are expected to implement in their various job sites to increase output and performance.
These young graduates, they follow a continuous training. That means they are employed somewhere. It's not initial training, it's continuous training. For them, now they can move inside their enterprises or maybe in other enterprises who needs their skills, the skills that they develop within this training.
The Public-Private Initiative by the Cameroon's employer cartel GICAM and the Ministry of Employment and Vocational Training is geared at increasing the number of skilled workers lacking in sectors such as agro-industry, maintenance, logistics and transport, amongst others. These first batch of trainees who were handed over their end-of-course certificates this October 18, 2021 in Douala had a 3 to 6 day intensive training. I have been trained in electrical maintenance. The training helped me to reclassify some of my collaborators. When they came back from this same training, I discovered they had acquired new skills. There was need to reclassify them in respect to their new skills. During the ceremony, it was announced that the next training will be on long term in centers that will be set up for the purpose, and the trainees will include secondary school graduates without skills and some unskilled workers.
Forensic professional investigators have expressed the need to accompany the government of Cameroon in the recovery of public funds sinking as a result of corrupt practices. The accomplished forensic experts were speaking in Yaoundé in a General Assembly. Haisencha completes the story.
The huge and frequent disappearance of state funds without accountability is a common cry in Cameroon. A vice the certified forensic investigation professionals have embarked in combating.
If we checkmate and limit the amount of waste of resources which is being stolen by all these fraudsters, those resources, if channeled properly and managed well, of course, will help create jobs and make the economy to go better.
Meeting at their General Assembly this weekend in Yaoundé, some Cameroonians backed home the prestigious Recognitions Award for the year 2021, outstanding in forensic, medical and criminal investigations, as well as financial control.
When I received this Superior Honor Award, I want to first dedicate it to my country, Cameroon, and to the newly elected executive. They are the champions of forensic. They are those who are going to be pace setters in the fight against corruption, in the fight against cyber crimes, in the fight against money laundering, in the fight against terrorism financing.
The new country director for Cameroon reiterates the need of frankly collaborating with the government of Cameroon in both the public and private sector to ensure an efficient financial management.
The objective that we have is, first of all, to sensitize the population, to create this awareness. Is it in corruption? Is it in fraud? Is it in bribery or whatsoever? Or these evils? It is to go even at the grassroots level.
The General Assembly equally saw the installation of the new board members and regional directors to pilot the forensic investigation affairs across the nooks and crannies of Cameroon.
And a 15-year-old girl is presently receiving medical attention after she was raped by an unknown individual in her bedroom in their family residence at Onza in the nation's political capital, Yaoundé. The incident occurred in the early hours of Monday, and the suspect is believed to have made his way through an unusual route into the fourth floor of the apartment. The details in the following story with Beatrice Ngamu.
High here, the open window is the bedroom of the 15-year-old girl whose deep sleep was brutally cut short by an unusual noise, that of an intruder, an armed individual masked face in her bedroom. In shock and fright, the man with knife in hand asked for money, which she did not. He then ordered her to undress, warning that the least sound from her would be her last, since his team had surrounded the whole house. He then raped her. Traumatized, she even peed on the bed. The supposed rapist also left this piece of leather on the bed. He finished raping her, told her not to move or he would kill her. Through the lights below the door, she was watching if there are people around. And once sure, she then rushed to her sister's bedroom opposite. Rushing down to alert the others, they realized the main door is open, his footstep and another. This knife sure fell while he made his way over the fence. Going round the building, they saw these ladders. The one the other way, and this one here from the neighboring building. The mother is certain this is the route and means the unknown rapist got into her daughter's bedroom and destroyed her baby. After getting the mother's side of the story, and before we could even reach the neighboring building, which is a private secondary school, hell broke loose. They came for us. The panic was uncalled for, and the uproar attracted the attention of the Oja police officers. This was then annexed. Next destination. Over 1 long hour, the commissioner tried to calm the parties. The shattered mother, the Canal 2 reporters, and the school administration. The police boss called for calm so that investigations that is ongoing should be smoothly. Meanwhile, the 15-year-old baccalaureate holder is presently receiving medical attention.
And that report brings us to the end of this edition of Newscast on Canal the International. Thanks so much for watching. We have news in the French language at exactly 7:50. This never Senkan with Emekati Mukuri, and coming up next is The Brief. I'll be back tomorrow for another edition of the news in the English language. Good night.